without a press conference, without a tweet. The Lakers just told you something very real about who they are and where they're going with the way they're handling Bronny James' contract. This is Lakers News Fan Report. I'm here with you like always, one of you, a fan talking directly to fans, taking the headlines, the cap stuff, the rotations, the noise, and turning it into a clear picture so you actually understand what this front office is doing instead of getting dragged around by half-baked narratives. Tonight is all about Bronny's contract status and what it really means, why the team chose stability over panic, how his deal fits under the new apron rules, how it connects to Luka Doncic's presence and LeBron James' timeline, what J.J. Redick and the staff are actually demanding from him on the floor, where the real decision windows sit, and why this quiet choice says more about the seriousness of the Lakers project than any quote on social media. By the time we're done, you're going to know exactly what changed, what didn't, and why that's not a sign of weakness, but of a team finally acting like it understands how modern contention works. Let's start with basketball, because if it doesn't make sense on the court, it doesn't matter on paper. This team is still uneven. Some nights they move the ball, the spacing is clean, Luka is manipulating help, LeBron is picking his moments, role players are cutting with purpose, corner shooters are ready, and you see a version of the Lakers that can go at anyone in a 7-game series. And then there are nights where the rhythm vanishes, slow possessions, isolation heavy, lazy closeouts, bench lineups that bleed points, confusion and pick-and-roll defense. That inconsistency is exactly why every rotation spot and every contract slot has to be used with intention. When you live this kind of swing, you can't afford to waste money or minutes on guys who don't stabilize anything. And that's where Bronny's situation becomes more than just a last name. From day one, the message to him inside that building has been brutally simple. You are not here to be protected, you are here to be useful. The checklist is clear. On defense, pressure the ball without gambling, fight through screens, stay locked in on your assignment, help early on the roller, talk on switches, finish possessions with a box out. On offense, sprint into your spot in transition, keep the corners filled, be ready to shoot when the ball swings, move it if the shot isn't there, cut hard when your defender turns his head, do not over-dribble, do not try to turn every touch into a mixtape. They aren't asking him to be a 20-point scorer. They are asking him not to break the structure. And on a team that spends big at the top of the roster, a young guard who can give you clean minutes without blowing things up is far more valuable than people who only look at highlights are willing to admit. Now, let's talk about the deal itself, because that's where a lot of confusion starts. Bronny is not a standard multi-year NBA contract, not a two-way. That alone tells you the Lakers wanted clarity. A standard deal means he is fully available for all 82. No game limits, no back-and-forth paperwork, no weird gray area about whether he's really on the team. It gives him a clear status in the locker room and gives the coaching staff the freedom to use him when they think he helps without worrying about burning through eligibility. For the front office, the structure is exactly what you want in this cap environment. Low annual salary, team control on the later years, flexibility built in. If he grows into a real rotation piece, you've got a bargain guard under contract in his early years. If he stalls and never fully claims a role, the number is small enough to move off without damaging your books. And if, at some point, the perfect opportunity appears and you need every clean, movable contract you can get to match salary, his deal fits right into that conversation without being an anchor. That does not mean he was signed only to be trade filler. It means the contract was built so the Lakers are never trapped, whether he hits, misses, or turns into something in between. That's what smart teams do. Inside the locker room, that contract matches the way he's treated. He is not being handed 25 minutes a night because of who his dad is, and he is not being shoved in the corner as a PR piece. When he executes his role, defends, runs, moves the ball, takes the right shots, he gets real NBA minutes. When he doesn't, he sits. When there isn't a lane in the rotation, he gets serious G League reps instead of empty suits on the bench. Veterans see that. They see that the staff is consistent, and consistency is everything in a league where respect inside the room matters more than any outside storyline. If there was a gap between the contract, the message, and the minutes, you'd feel it. There isn't. Now, add Luka Doncic to this picture because his presence is a huge part of why this contract makes sense. When you build around a player like Luka, the offense runs through him. That means the guards next to him need to simplify the game, not compete with him for control. You want guys who cut hard, keep spacing organized, defend at the point of attack, and shoot with confidence when the ball finds them. Bronny's path in this version of the Lakers is very straightforward. Become the kind of player coaches trust to share the floor with a superstar without demanding anything extra. If he screens, cuts, defends, and hits open shots, he fits. If he keeps his decisions quick and his energy high, he fits. And when all of that comes attached to a small, predictable cap hit over multiple seasons, that is exactly the type of supporting contract you want on your books in an apron world. The new rules punish heavy, rigid rosters that have no room to maneuver. Bronny's deal is the opposite of that. Controlled, cheap, flexible. Then comes LeBron. His presence, his age, his body, his potential exit, we all know it hangs over everything. The Lakers cannot design their entire future on a guess about when he decides he's done. So what do? They create a framework that survives either decision. If LeBron keeps going, Bronny's contract and role stay perfect for what you need around two high-usage stars: defense, energy, low-maintenance minutes. If LeBron eventually steps away, the team still has a young guard under control who knows the system and can either be expanded into a larger role or leveraged as part of whatever retool comes next. No emergency, no ugly dead money, no sudden scramble. That's not an accident. That is what it looks like when a front office stops thinking one season at a time and starts protecting the next 2 or 3. Now, let's talk about the timing, because this is the part most of the outside noise just skips. There is no secret mid-season bomb built into this contract. No trigger that forces the Lakers to decide in January whether Bronny is the future or a mistake. The real decision points live in the offseason, when partial guarantees and team option-style control over the later years become relevant, and when the front office has what it does not have yet: a full year of film on him against NBA athletes, a record of how he handled different roles, a clear picture of how his presence affects rotations with Luka, with LeBron, with different bench units. Pushing the evaluation window to that point is not indecision, it's discipline. It means they refuse to let a random cold week or a loud segment dictate a structural move. And that brings us to the actual update. Said clean so there's no doubt. Right now, the Lakers are not touching Bronny James' contract. No conversion, no downgrade, no quick rewrite. They are rolling with the standard multi-year deal they put in place, keeping him fully available, keeping every future option in their hands, and letting this season be what it should be for a young guard, as an extended audition under real standards, not a public trial.
On the floor, that means his job is the same tomorrow as it was yesterday. Earn shifts with defense, spacing, and smart play. Lose him when he doesn't bring it. Use time in the G League as a development tool, not a punishment. Fight for a stable role instead of expecting one. Off the floor, it means his contract stays one of the cleanest, safest lines on the books. Small enough not to hurt, structured enough to help if you need it. When you step back and look at the whole picture, the message is pretty simple. This front office chose stability, flexibility, and accountability over panic, over performative, tough decisions, over moves made just to prove something to people shouting from the outside. And personally, I think that's the right read. You keep a cheap, controllable guard who fits the type of role this roster needs. You keep the locker room dynamic honest by making him live under the same rules as everyone else. You keep your cap table light enough to react when a real opportunity appears. You push the big decision to the correct window, when you've actually seen enough to make it. That is exactly how a serious team should handle it. And let me layer one more thing on this, because it's easy to underestimate it when you're just scrolling past numbers on a graphic. Under the new CBA, once you start creeping toward those higher apron lines, every medium-sized mistake becomes a problem. Mid-tier contracts for players you don't fully trust clog your flexibility, cost you tools, limit your ability to stack talent around your stars. The Lakers have lived that reality before. What they've done with Bronny is the opposite of that pattern. Instead of throwing mid-level money at an uncertain fit, they've locked in a very small, very controlled deal on a player who understands his role and is wired to defend, run, and adapt. The downside is tiny. The upside, if he becomes a reliable rotational guard, is massive in terms of roster value. That's the kind of asymmetric bet good organizations are supposed to make. And from a culture standpoint, this matters too. When you look at how J.J. Redick talks about roles, pacing, decision-making, everything points to a staff that wants clarity. This guy does this job, this guy does that job, and if you don't do yours, someone else will. Bronny sliding into that framework on a standard contract sends a quiet internal message. You are expected to be a real player, not a mascot, but you are also expected to live up to the exact same standards. That balance is how you manage the unique situation of having a superstar son on the roster without letting it distort the entire identity of the team. It also helps that his on-court profile matches what this era of Lakers basketball needs more than what the loudest skeptics say. This roster doesn't need another ball-dominant guard who kills spacing. It needs athletes who can chase, contest, run, and stay humble in their usage. If Bronny keeps inching forward in those areas, more comfortable with NBA speed, more consistent on his closeouts, quicker to pull the trigger on open threes, then year by year that contract looks better and better. And if he doesn't make that leap, the contract still never becomes an anchor. When you zoom out like that, it's actually one of the cleanest, low-risk, real upside moves on the sheet. From a trade perspective, keeping his deal intact through the season is also a leverage play. If the Lakers ever pick up the phone about a major piece, an elite wing defender, a high-level shooter, a front-court fit next to Luka, they are stronger walking into those talks with a stable, fully guaranteed, low-number deal attached to a young player who has NBA reps than they would be juggling 2 ways in 10 days. It's optionality. Not a promise he gets moved, not a signal that they're shopping him, but proof that they've left themselves doors open instead of painted into a corner. Fans might not feel that day to day, but other front offices see it clearly. So when people ask, why not change it now? Why not convert something? Why not make a statement move? The honest answer is because this is the statement. The statement is that, for once, the Lakers are resisting the urge to react for the camera and are choosing to sit in a strong, flexible position while they evaluate in season. That's mature team behavior. And I'll say this directly to you because you're the type of fan that sticks around for a full breakdown. Not every smart move feels loud. Sometimes the smartest thing a franchise does is exactly what they didn't do. No panic cut, no rushed restructure, no performance theater, just a clear plan, clear standards, a clean contract, and a season to see if the player earns his way into being part of the long-term picture. Now, I want to hear from you, because this community is built around people who actually think the game. Looking at Bronny's contract, his role so far, the weight of Luka and LeBron on this roster, and the limited room the Lakers have under the apron, would you stick with this calm approach and reassess in the summer? Or would you already be thinking about using that deal as part of a package if the right high-level role player shakes loose at the deadline? Do you believe he can grow into that low-usage, high-discipline guard every contender wants to have? Or do you see more value in treating him strictly as a flexible asset? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Break it down like someone who watches more than the highlights. My final take, straight and professional, the true Bronny James contract update is that nothing dramatic is changing right now, and that's exactly the point. The Lakers are using his deal the way smart teams use good structure. They're protecting the cap, protecting their options, and giving a young player a fair lane to prove himself in a system that demands real things. If you appreciate having this kind of clear, in-depth explanation instead of empty buzz, make sure you're subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next key date, leave a like, share this video with that one friend who only reads the headlines, and stay close, because every serious move, every contract trigger, and every strategic decision this team makes, we're going to break it down here with respect for your intelligence and the same passion you feel every time purple and gold hit the floor.